boy. We lived in Germany for 5 years. In the late 80s, early 90s. Got to see the Berlin Wall fall when I was about 5, 6 years old, which is one situation that kind of helped, change my life for the future. Seeing another country get freedom for the first time in decades when you had family and friends being separated from each other. So, once that happened, I came to the States. Time went by. Of course, 9/11 occurred. We just recently passed. And when that happened, I realized how much patriotism I had, just built inside of me. Because watching it happen to my country, and even though I was in Maryland at the time, it was still, New York was home for us because we're all Americans. It really put me in a mode of wanting to fight and get out there and just fight for the country. And I just kept going from that point on. And I really didn't really feel that patriotism come back again until the 2016 elections happened. And at that time, Dr. Ben Carson, before Trump, is who I supported, because I grew up with Dr. Ben Carson. My dad met the man 3 times. They're both Seventh-day Adventists in the church. Gave me the book Gifted Hands when I was a little boy. He talked to me, my dad told me, he gave me that book. As a black man in America, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be a musician, you don't have to be an actor. You can be successful in here if you work hard enough and you put your mind to it, you can be anything in this country. So when Dr. Ben Carson ran, I didn't care whether he was Republican, Democrat, Independent, Tea Party, whatever it may be, I was there. I was going to support Dr. Ben Carson. I did. And of course, the media lied about the whole West Point situation with him when he was leading in the primaries, which ruined his chances. And then I saw, President Trump, he came up, and I had an interview with a young lady on ABC, and he got to the point where he embarrassed her so bad because she was trying to manipulate the story around that she was quiet, didn't know what to say. He was like, speak up, honey, come on, say something. What do you got to say? And I was like, wow, Trump is he doesn't play around the media, man. This guy's no joke. And I was like, okay. So I never had a problem with Trump. I remember Trump growing up, right before he ran, he was in wrestling with Vince McMahon and everything, shaved his head bald. I remember Home Alone 2 as a little boy. All the black rappers from New York in the 90s was a black Trump one time or another, showing off. So Trump was cool, man. I never had a problem with Trump. So I just said with him, I just thought maybe he was running to put his business out there. I didn't know if he was serious. When I saw how he spoke in that report, I did some research on him, and I said, wow, Trump's been saying the same thing since the late 70s, early 90s, and he's saying now running as president of the United States. So I said, okay, if he's serious, if he's being honest, he's got my support. I came out and said I support President Trump. As soon as I came out and on Facebook, I'm supporting the president. Not president, but then candidate Trump. My friends, family, I'm from Maryland, very blue state. This blue in New York is not more blue. Cussed me out, called me all kinds of names. It was just a heavy backlash. I still got family members to this day that won't talk to me. And so it really just, but me being American, me loving my country, I didn't sit back and just take it. I had a good friend of mine from childhood call me up like, Chris, can everybody talk to you like this online? I'm like, no, man, I'm going to say something. So I replied back one by one to everybody individually and educated them about the president, or the candidate Trump at that time, and a history of Democratic Party and Republican Party. And I did a lot of that, and it really just, really just had to defend myself. And when Trump won the election, I kind of came out and mocked quite a few people. But it was like a victory won for all of America when he won that night in 2016. So when he did that, I was one day just going on a rant, probably about 2 or 3 months after he won the election, and I was just going off, and I was getting like 1 or 2 likes a day at this time. And a good friend of mine, Quan, she said, why don't you do like a video? Why don't you start doing videos? Because I see you're ranting all the time. You can probably just put it all on on video and let people see it. So I was like, come on, I don't even do pictures, Quan. Like back then, I was like, give me a break. And she's like, no, just just do a quick video, just talking about your day, send it to me, and I'll tell you what I think. So I just rode the bus from work home that day, and what I saw on the bus, I told her in a little video. And New York can be very interesting if you have your headphones off and listen. So I told her a pretty interesting story, and she thought it was great. She was like, I called her up, I was like, what do you think? She said, oh, it was wonderful. I laughed. I was interested in what you had to say. It was intriguing. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to be honest. She was like, no, it was really good. You should consider doing videos. So the next day, I was riding the bus home, and I saw Brandon Strzok from the Walkaway movement, the founder of the Walkaway. He did a video, his personal video, why he left the Democratic Party and became a Republican. And at the end of his video, if you remember, I remember seeing it to this day, it was all black in the background, and he was just quiet, and he was just talking towards the camera, and it was so powerful. And he said at the end, if you have a story to tell, I'll send me your video, and I'll post it on Facebook. So I literally, as soon as I saw the video, I got my bus stop, and I had to walk home about half a mile. So I took my phone out, I recorded myself, and you watch my very first video, that's the first time I ever did a video. I say, here's my walk-away story. What better way to tell a walk-away story than when you're walking away? So here you go. So I just go off, and I tell them a lot, but I just told you guys about me growing up in a military household, the love for the country, the respect, how I went from Democrat to voting, like Dr. Ben Carson got me to the Republican side of things, and how that all started. And I sent it to Brandon, and he shared it on his Facebook, and the video went viral. So when he shared it and it went viral, I had from 130 Facebook friends, I had 5,000 in one day. Because people were just sending me friend requests like crazy. So when that happened was I said, okay, let me start a YouTube channel and tag it on my video on my Facebook Lives. It's so popular, and let people know I got a YouTube channel. I'm making videos once a week. So I did that, and you know, by God's glory, you know, that YouTube channel went from only having about 1,000 subscribers for my first video for the walkaway. Now I got about over 100 videos and about 30,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So it's grown quite a bit, and you know, it's just a lot of amazing things have happened because of it. The Turning Point USA team reached out to me. They asked me to come for the Young Black Leadership Summit and the Black Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. Got to meet Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, Charlie Kirk. I mean, this list goes on, I can say. You know, there's a lot of real patriots, and it taught me a lot. It was the largest gathering of black conservatives in American history. There were 400 black conservatives at the White House. We were walking through the streets of D.C. with all the MAGA hats on. You could see people's faces like, what is going on here? Like, is this really happening? I'm like, oh yeah, we're here. And we were making our voices heard. And we got to see the president speak, and it was amazing. Seeing the White House was amazing. I'm a history buff myself, so it was just amazing walking through that White House. And all the amazing photographs I took. But when Trump came out to speak to us, it was like the cool uncle at Thanksgiving coming over, and he just walks in the door, you're like, oh, here he is, you know. It wasn't like he was trying to be Mr. Presidential, and I'm up here and you're down here. It was just like a cool guy, hey man, I'm glad to see you guys, I'm glad you guys can make it. And he just really just set the place ablaze. We were giving him a standing ovation when he was done. We were just giving him so much credit, and everybody was so happy to have the opportunity. He sat, took pictures with a lot of us afterwards. It was so packed. Unfortunately, I couldn't get up there to get a picture with him, but he took a picture with a lot of us, and it was an amazing experience, amazing event. And I started a group here as well, because when I was doing my videos, people were reaching out to me in New York in my comment section of the video. It was like, hey man, a black conservative walking through Brooklyn talking about Trump? He's like, I didn't think that even existed. He's like, I'm a Republican, man. I'm in Staten Island, or I'm in Long Island, or I'm in Bronx, in Manhattan, Harlem. And they're telling me, how can I get, you know, do you have anything we can do, be a part of? Because, you know, there's nothing here in New York. So it kept happening so much, I decided to start a group called the CRA, which stands for Conservative Republican Alliance. Conservative Republican Alliance of New York. And I just started up my first group. I said, I want to have a group where I get conservatives and Republicans in the area together, where we can meet up and talk about the president without having to say the T word, I call it. You just call it, say Trump's name, it's all good. You know, so I started an event. I only had about 3 people at my first event. And at my last event, I did was, well, last 2 events was the candlelight, 9/11 candlelight we had at the Memorial in Manhattan, which had almost 100 people there. It was an amazing turnout, and we all had candlelights, and we had people come out and speak where they were during 9/11, how it affected them, and it was a very amazing night, very powerful night. And the event before that, we had in front of Trump Tower when de Blasio, or Commie de Blasio as I like to call him, where he painted Black Lives Matter graffiti in front of Trump Tower. So we came out there about a week later, and you know, with the CRA, and we did an event. We had over 200 people show up for Trump on the president's side and the conservative side of things. And when Black Lives Matter showed up, there was only about, out of 50 people, there's maybe 2 or 3 black people with them. And I'm like, and it was, when they came up, I had a microphone in my hand, I was talking already. When they came up, I saw them, and one, it was like, you know, not to bring race up into this, but it was a white young lady. She had a Black Trans Lives Matter sign or whatever. And I just came up to him and I was like, where are your black people? Where are your black people? Where are they? Like, they're all over on our side. Because in the CRA, we had about, that day, we had about 80% of our group was minorities. Black, Hispanic, you know, white, everybody was there. It was New York City is what it looked like. So when they saw me in our group, they didn't know how to react. They were just like, because they had their typical talking points, oh, you're a Nazi, oh, you're racist, oh, Trump, blah, blah, blah. And when they saw us and saw not only that we were there and we were diverse, but we also, all of us knew what we were talking about. And we had guys from all around the country. We had guys from Baltimore, guys from California, guys from Texas come to show up. And they all had their own ways of speaking and getting a message across. And it was, one way is more aggressive than others with some people, but we got our message across, and it was a powerful moment. And I just want to continue to help support candidates running in the local elections. Every Monday, I interview a local candidate. So, you know, I'm doing whatever I can to help what I call Turn New York Red, because like the rally, that was the name of the rally I had, and that's my goal with the CRA, is to turn New York red. And Trump just came out and said New York's for grabs. So if the president's saying it, I'm going to fight for my president, and I'm going to do what I can as a citizen to get it done. And I want to tell everybody from the grassroots level, we all can do what I'm doing. There's nothing special about me. I show people I literally walk down the street with a phone in my hand recording myself. Anybody can do that, you know. And that's my main goal out of all of this at the end of the day, is just to get more patriots to stand up and get their voices heard. And that's the main goal. And the reason why I'm looking at grassroots campaigning, because there's a lot of people I know who, I went door to door when I was a young kid, when I was 14 years old, so it taught me at a young age not to be intimidated, to approach people and, you know, get what you got to say out and let it be heard. And grassroots campaigning is what Trump needs really at the most right now, because the mainstream media won't help him out. The Rhino Republicans don't want to help him out. Of course, the Democratic Party's not going to support him. So he needs the people to come out. And, you know, like they had a boat event yesterday, a boat rally for Trump yesterday. And there Trump flew over in a helicopter and stopped on the bridge and waved at people coming underneath the bridge that were supporters. So, you know, the president knows what we're doing, how important it is to his campaign for him getting reelected. Because if Trump doesn't get reelected, we are in very deep trouble when it comes to, you know, the country, especially here in New York City. You know, I look at what the situation with the Joe Biden thing, and when people, for the last 4 years, for example, I've been hearing, me being a Trump supporter, especially a black Trump supporter, you know, Coon, Uncle Tom, turning back on your people, all this stuff, and all, you know, rich white people this, rich 1% that, blah, 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 blah. But then it comes 2020, and you guys give us a rich white guy on your side as your candidate. So I'm like, what's the hypocrisy in that? And not only that, but which rich white guy who was, when he was been in office for almost 60 years, and he was for segregation in the 70s. He was out to fight to keep segregation going. He got prison reform passed, and prison reform, which gave you the 3 strikes law with Bill Clinton's help, which imprisoned more blacks than any bill ever passed in American history. He's told black people, you're not black unless you vote for him. He's called little black children cockroaches that like to hang on his hairy legs in the swimming pool. He had his fat boy corn pop that he talked about, his gangster that he supposedly knew.
Goes and tear down the wall, goes and tear it down, whatever's there.
Yeah, exactly. So he's done so much to show you that, you know, I don't like using the word racist because the left says so much, it doesn't have any more power behind it. But that guy is a racist, from what I see. And, you know, every time I debate somebody on the left, they say, oh, Trump's a racist. Well, give me an example. And, oh, Central Park 5, oh, Charlottesville. And then, you know, I can just talk around that any day of the week. We know Trump had nothing to do with Charlottesville, and the Central Park 5 was more the mainstream media's fault than anybody else's, because they're the ones who didn't tell the story like 100% the way it was when it initially happened. So they're the ones who should be blamed. So other than that, they have nothing else. And with them, I can give them physical evidence of Biden being a racist. And, you know, their party participated in racist acts in the past, from lynching, segregation, to Jim Crow, Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood, saying blacks are growing like weeds and need to be cut and eliminated. I mean, on and on and on and on. I can see the racism in the past with the Democratic Party. And if anything, the Republican Party in the past, they have helped blacks all the way up to the very first president, President Lincoln, who wanted to abolish slavery. So it's, once you learn this information, it's kind of crazy. I mean, the first time I really got a lot of it was through Dinesh D'Souza's Hillary's America. Right. I saw that movie in the theater. I'll never forget that day I saw it in the theater. After the movie was over, I was almost at tears, because me being a history buff, I'm like, how did I not know any of this? I'm like, I study history. I grew up in school. History teacher, I can almost remember my name. I loved it. How did I come? I never knew this. And it's just because it shows you the leftists, the liberals have controlled the education system for decades now. And you see how they manipulated a lot of people's minds with the media, with the education system, in so many different ways. And I have my parents, my grandparents' generation, all been brainwashed by this. So when I came out and I support the Republican Party, and I support history, and I tell my friends, my family members, it's like jumping over a lot of hurdles just to get to the basic point. Because I'm literally tearing so many walls down in their mind that's been built up from their family members, from their friends. So when you're telling them this truth, it's hard for them to comprehend it and then agree and move on with the new information that they learn. So it's a process, but what I see with President Trump, Trump is making the process a lot easier, because he is coming out the lowest black unemployment in American history under his presidency. Opportunity zones all around the area that are helping out a lot of young blacks. There's so much he's done. I mean, donated lifetime donations to HBCUs, black universities. So there's many things you can just say that he's benefited the black community, but he's just benefited America in general. All Americans have benefited under Trump's presidency. When those tax cuts hit, everybody got a tax cut, not just black people or white people or Hispanics. We all did as Americans, you know. And what he's done when it comes to border security, building the wall, with securing our border, getting ICE a lot bigger position in this country, what he's done with that. I mean, it's been amazing. This guy has been an amazing president, and it's just sad that the opposition is willing to do anything they can, which is turn this COVID thing into a pandemic to try to make him look bad, because of Trump derangement syndrome is all it is, TDS. So the one thing I really want to speak about is also what's going on here in New York City. The crime rate has gone up over 600% in the city. I saw a number where they said the 2019 death rate at this point was more than half people lived last year at this time died from this crime and violence. That's, the murder's been going on. So the crime has gone 600%. I'm in the Brooklyn area, and I don't like to tell the details because some people be watching that are not fans of. But I'm in an area that the crime is insane. It's tough to even go outside late at night nowadays, and it's it's in Brooklyn, but it's just it's been rough. And I saw a guy in my corner store I go to who got robbed, and I was talking to him. I know the guy; he's the owner. I asked him what happened. I could tell by the front cracked door that it was a robbery. And he said, well, the guys came in, we got an argument around 12 a.m. We left the store. About 2 a.m. they came back and they smashed the window. We saw them in the camera. We called the police and the police arrested them. And I'm like, wow, so what's going on? What happened with them? He's like, they're right there. I'm like, right there? They're like, yeah, right in front of the store. That's them talking right there. I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. When they arrested them at 2 a.m., they were out by 7 a.m. And now they are out front, whatever. So I was like, I went out there because I was waiting for my food. And I was hearing them talk. And all they could complain about was how rough the police were with them when they were getting arrested. Not about like what they were doing was wrong or right or whatever it may be, but the fact that the cops were a little too rough with them while they couldn't put them in handcuffs. So I was just like, this is where New York City's heading. Like when it comes to late-term abortion, post-mortem abortion, them celebrating it in Albany when they passed the bill, lighting the Freedom Tower pink. You got, like I said, the homelessness is becoming an issue here. I almost got in a fight with a junkie just trying to get on the Amtrak to go back to Maryland to visit. It was over near Fifth Avenue. And I'm like, this is Fifth Avenue, and it's looking like Skid Row almost. And I'm like, they're turning New York City to Baltimore. And it's the same Democrat leadership. If you look where Democrats go, destruction follows right behind them. So I grew up in Maryland. I remember my friend's grandparents told me how Baltimore is a beautiful city, and you can walk at any time of night, leave your door unlocked. And they were children this time. But when things got rough, Democrats took over, they got the heck out, and now you got inner cities all over Baltimore, and the crime rate's insane, and everything's insane. So, the main goal that I'm doing, like I said, with the CRA is to help New York, is to turn New York red. It's like letting people know about the local politicians running here in New York, get their voices heard, get them in the office, get the Senate back here, because, the left is just destroying the state. And then get the president reelected in this year, in November, get him back in office again. Because has been doing a great job with COVID, with handling the media lies and everything like that. He's been handling it pretty good. But we got to get him back in office, because if a Biden gets in there, we're going to be going backwards at a record rate. Like, this country is going to be where it'd be if Hillary was president, which would be in World War III, in my opinion. Because Hillary is letting people know, if I get elected, I'm going to war with Russia, I'm going to shut down the media here in this country, the alternative news media, and that would have been shut down of people's speech, and it would have been World War III, and that would have been the end of our country and the end of the world, in my opinion. So they are trying to set us back, and they're trying to get Biden there, who can even complete a full sentence right now, to get him in office, just to probably push him out the way to put Kamala Harris in there. And she's just so fake, and both of them are fake, but she's beyond fake. And, this is our option here, people. So, what I want to do, like I said earlier, is just keep going with the CRA, keep building up, keep growing, keep marching, going to rallies. I try to do at least one event a month, sometimes with other Republican groups in the area, so I want to show unity. Because what I notice a lot of times in the GOP here in New York, unfortunately, they have what's going on with I call lunchroom politics, where it seems like, when you went back in school, you had the lunchroom, you had the popular kids over here at this table, you had the sports kids, the jocks over there, you had the nerds over here, you had, and that's how GOP politics is. Or, you got the certain clubs over here and certain clubs over there. Oh, you're from this borough, you're over there, and we're in this borough, we're over here, and it's so divided.
We should all be together.
And we should all be together. It's united we stand, divided we fall. And yes, sir.
How do you tell us about this? Because I follow you on Facebook, but I'm always banned from Facebook. So
We haven't seen the best of us.
you can text me or send it to me somehow. He, texts me stuff, but it's just, that's very local. If some big events going on, I would go to any march, anything. Even go to Washington if we have to.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I don't know. When they had something in Albany, I missed it. I was told the day before. They had something in Long Island, I didn't go because it was in a parking lot, Macy's, Then there was something in downtown here. They want to get rid of de Blasio and Como in around City Hall. I wasn't told.
Yeah, I know. That's the miscommunication we have. That's the part of lunchroom politics in a way. It's like the people in the group will know, but people outside of that group won't hear about the stuff that's happening. And
I'll put my name on a list, or I'll give you
yeah,
mine.
definitely. I got an email list for Eventbrite. Anybody who's interested, I'll get them on that list.
October 3rd, there's going to be a walk away.
Yeah, but I want you gotta send it to me before it's gonna happen.
In DC on October 3rd, there's going to be a walk away.
All right, thank you. I'll try, but I mean,
Yeah.
it should be coming through my phone. That's the way we do
But
it.
that would be through walkaway. So
It's
I'm a
through
member,
walkaway, it's a
I
different
get
thing.
messages from
Right,
them.
right.
You would be on that list, I guess.
Yes.
One thing they've announced, is there going to be a walk away in New York?
That's a
There
good
should
question.
be.
I'm
that's
friends
what
with
all
Brandon
my
Strock,
friends want.
and I've spoken with Brandon in the past a couple of times. And when I spoke with him, I told him I really need to speak with him.